Hello, and thank you for taking a few minutes to watch this video on how to quickly and easily submit your 2015 chapter budget. We hope that by breaking this down into 5 easy steps, it'll be simple for you to tell us what your plans are for 2015. The first thing you're going to do after you finish watching the video is to click the Continue button. The next page will tell you information about the 2 different options that you have for your chapter to submit a budget. Both of these options will have access to funds. The first option is to submit a standard budget. Keep in mind you'll have to have at least one fundraiser and one event planned in 2015. Your second option is to submit a request for a $0 budget. $0 budget approved chapters will have access to funds in 2015. However, please keep in mind that there are a bunch of restrictions on who will be approved for $0 budgets and what $0 budget chapters will be able to do in 2015. So please just take a look at this, and after you are finished looking over those, all you're going to do is fill out which chapter you're submitting this for. So I'll do a couple examples for you. We're going to do that it's for Alamance Mommies. I'll go ahead and put in my name, my chapter username, and my email address. Then I'm going to tell them whether I'm going to proceed with the submitting a request for a $0 budget or if I'm going to submit for a standard budget. I'm going to go ahead and submit for a $0 budget just as an example and hit continue. We'll be asking you a few questions that we need to know in order to approve you for a $0 budget, and you'll have to give us 5 examples of things that you're going to do in 2015 to improve your chapter, even though you won't have funds available. And then you can submit that. If you change your mind, you can go back and change your answer to say, I would like to submit a standard budget, and just click continue. With that, step 1 is complete, and you'll move down to step 2. As you go down to step 2, you will notice that there is an Excel box right here. This is going to be the master sheets, and it has all the chapters in here. As you can see, I'm already on Alamance Mommies, but I could also pick Annapolis Mommies, Atlanta Area Mommies, Baltimore Mommies, and click the tab buttons to go over to all the other chapters. What you would like to do is select your chapter, and we'll be using this later on to make sure that you are having a balanced budget. For the moment, we'll go ahead and keep it on Alamance Mommies. Please keep in mind that these amounts might not update right away and could take up to 3 minutes to load, so please be patient. And also, if you don't see your values right away, just go ahead and click your refresh button up top, and they should come through in just a few minutes. And always make sure you're on the right chapter. With that, we'll move on to the step 2, which is fundraisers. Now, these are going to be all of your fundraisers that you're directly getting donations for something. These are more like your long-term events, like your gear sales and things like that. Other revenue that you might be getting, like event sponsorship or online sponsorship, we're going to cover in step 3. But for right now, I'm going to show you a few examples of the fundraisers. So first we're going to pick, again, the chapter, and I'm going to give you Alamance Mommies as an example. And let's say that we're going to have an auction. Well, we first put in the auction title, and then we're going to pick from this list on what best describes your fundraiser. We do have a bunch of options here that are alphabetical, but you can keep in mind that we also have other chapter fundraiser in case none of these categories apply. So for my auction, I'm going to go ahead and pick auction, and I need to say which quarter we're going to be planning fundraiser in, quarter 1, quarter 2, quarter 3, or quarter 4. Let's say we're going to have this one in quarter 1. Then we want to say how much we're planning on receiving from this particular fundraiser. Let's say we're going to do $100. You can either put in just 100, or you can put the $100. Then, if there's any additional details about the fundraiser that you want to let us know about, you just can write it up right here. So for an example, I'm going to put online vendor auction. This is an example. And then click submit. We'll go back up here, and as you can see, that fundraiser has been submitted. When I want to add another fundraiser, I simply hit submit another response, or if I'm finished, I can go on to step 3. Let me go ahead and put another response, just as an example. Again, I'll pick Alamance Mommies. Let's say that this time it's going to be a birthday raffle. And we will go down and let's say we're going to do this as another chapter fundraiser. And let's say we're going to plan this for quarter 4. Let's say we're planning on getting $150 from this. And let's say we'll just say birthday party in November. And then just click submit. You can put in as many fundraisers as you need to and repeat this process by submitting another response, or you can just move forward to the next step. Now that we've submitted those fundraisers, let's go back up and see what our budget is doing. So we're just going to refresh our screen. And here we can see that the $100 that we've put in for quarter 1 for that auction has been listed, and the $150 that we said we would receive in quarter 4 for the birthday raffle has also been listed. You'll be able to see that these will actually roll over into each other, which is why we have $250 right here. Now we go ahead and we'll move on to other revenue. Moving on to step 3, other revenue. You will again be placing which chapter you're submitting this budget outline for, the revenue source. So let's say that this is online sponsorship. And we're going to, from the list, best describe this revenue source. You can see we have contests and events, event sponsorship, online sponsorship, and other chapter revenue. So let's go ahead and say that this is online sponsorship. And let's say that we were planning on trying to get all of our sponsors in our second quarter. So we'll put quarter 2. And let's say we had a goal of getting $40 in online sponsorship. And if there's any other details or if there's businesses that we anticipate receiving revenue from, we would just list them here. And that way we can at least go back and see who it was that you were planning to contact. And then we just submit. Again, just like we did with fundraisers, if you have another response, you can just click here. Or if you've put everything that you have planned so far, you can just move on to step 4, which is events. Before we move on to events and other expenses, we're going to go ahead and give our screen a refresh and go back up to our master sheet. Make sure we're clicked on Alamance Mommies, and there we can see that $40 that we just added in for other revenue has been added into quarter 2, and again, it rolls over from quarter to quarter because we have not actually put in any expenses yet. So when you're moving on to your expenses, you're going to have to keep in mind that each quarter is going to have to stay under the amount that you have available for that quarter. So with that, we will move on to our events. Step 4, events. This is going to be a very similar process to what we were just doing. We are going to list which chapter we're submitting this for. So Alamance Mommies. We're going to give it an event title. Let's say this is the birthday party. And previously, so we said we were going to have that in the third quarter. So we're going to go ahead and list this as a birthday party. And there are a number of ways to list this. You can see they're all listed here, but we do have other event in case what you're planning is not listed. So we'll put birthday party. We are going to plan this for, the birthday party we had was in the fourth quarter. And let's say that this event we are planning on having it cost $200. We'll put 200 and submit. Again, if we want to add another event, we just click submit another response. So let's go ahead and add another one right now. Let's say that in quarter 1 for Alamance Mommies, we decided that we wanted to have a mom's night out. We pick from the categories. So let's just go ahead and say this is a member appreciation. We'll have this in the first quarter. And let's say we're planning on having it cost $50. And we'll submit. So now that we've submitted our events, let's go ahead and check where we are before we move on to our step 5, which is our final process, which is other expenses. We're going to go back up here. We'll go ahead and hit refresh. So we're getting the latest information. We're on Alamance Mommies, and we can see that that $50 that we put in for the Mom's Night Out has been put into quarter 2 and deducted out of what we had for quarter 1, and been deducted out of quarter 1. We can also see the $200 we plan on spending on the birthday party has been deducted from quarter 4. So let's go on to other expenses. Please note that so far all of our quarters are staying in the positive. So we will move down to our step 5, which is other expenses. Again, this is going to be a very similar process. We're going to pick Alamance Mummies. Oops. Other expense title. Let's say that we wanted to get some materials for our volunteers to show them appreciation. So we'll put volunteer appreciation. And from the list, we're going to pick a category for the expense. And look, we have volunteer recognition right here. Let's say we're planning to do this in the 4th quarter. And just an example to show you what might happen if you put in money, to spend more money than you have. Let's go ahead and say that we are planning on spending $80. And we're going to submit that. And again, you can submit another response, or if you don't have any more items to put in, you can just completely be done. Since we're using this as an example, we will go back up here to our master budget and refresh. And here we can see exactly what's going to happen if we spend too much more money than we're going to have in the quarter. You can see it turns red and it's in the negative. And we have to make sure that none of that happens throughout the year. So these either have to be at 0 or at positive numbers. If this happens to you, if you spend too much, you can just email budgets@themommiesnetwork.org. We will go in and we will delete your items. You just have to tell us which ones they are. Now that we have all of our items in, we can actually scroll down and we can see what we've entered. So we can see that in quarter 1, you can ignore the examples. Each one of these is going to have an example 0. You can just ignore those. But you can see that we have the quarter 1 auction. We have the quarter 4 birthday raffle. Moving down in other revenue, we can see we have the online sponsorship for quarter 2 for $40. Moving down even further in our events, we can see that we've put in our birthday party, and we also have our mom's night out. Moving down to other expenses, we can see our volunteer appreciation. So if you don't know where you've gone wrong, you can actually, and you're in the negative, you can actually go down and see where you've spent too much money, and you can just email us so that we can delete those items and change the budget, and you can make new submissions after we do that. And with that, you are done with your budget. Thanks a lot, guys. Have a great day.